One of the biggest benefits of an artist club style single edge razor is all the blade options. With a double edge razor, all the blades are more or less the same. But with an artist club style blade, they vary in performance greatly, making it almost an adjustable experience. And that makes a razor like the Vector unbelievably versatile. Hey, I'm Shane. Today I'm going to show you 3 different styles of artist club blades and how they impact the performance of your razor. Now, there are more than 3 brands of artist club blades, but I'm going to use these 3 to showcase the different approaches that razor blade makers use to vary the performance of your blades, and they'll be applicable to other brands as well. All right, let's start out with our macro comparison. We have the Pro Guard on the left and our Feather Professional on the right. And I'll show you the Feather Pro Super in a second, but this format doesn't really work for the Pro Super because it looks the same as the Professional, but I'll get to that in a minute. But for now, let's look at the differences between the guarded blade on the left and the standard unguarded blade on the right. The one on the right is pretty straightforward. As you can tell, it just has obviously the one cutting edge, single edge, but it's pretty much like a DE blade, right? Except it's thicker, wider, narrower, one edge, but there's not a whole lot to it. Pretty easy to understand. You have your cutting edge here, your alignment tab, your alignment holes here. Honestly, not a whole lot to talk about. Obviously, there are different grinds to this edge, Schick Pro lines versus professionals versus Kais, but that's kind of beyond the scope of this video. It's pretty simple to understand. So the real interesting part happens over here on the left. And at this shot, it's actually pretty obvious to tell what's going on. You can tell that underneath this kind of laminate on top, it's just a regular blade. Let's see if I can get this thing in there, right? Under there, just a regular cutting edge. It's actually very similar to this blade. We don't know for sure that it's the same blade, but we're pretty sure that it's actually the exact same blade as the one on the right under the left, but it's covered with this laminate of metal. And you can actually see it up here where there's actually just another piece of metal laid on top of the blade. The important part happens over here on the cutting edge, where you can see this actual comb tooth covering it. That is the guard. What this does is kind of intuitive just by looking at it, is it's going to reduce the amount of blade that contacts your skin. It's actually going to reduce the efficiency of the blade a little bit. These have origins in hair cutting, so you can get different textures, but it works obviously for shaving just as well. And so you're going to get a little bit less efficiency, but it's going to reduce the blade engagement, making this a milder shave than the one on the right. And so by kind of protecting your skin from the blade, you are reducing that blade engagement and reducing the efficiency also. But this is a great option for people who like a milder blade. Now you can also see that this might introduce some irritation because these little teeth do contact your skin. And so you're rubbing another thing against your skin, which some people find irritating. I personally don't find it irritating at all, and I think these actually deliver an incredibly smooth, great shave. But it's worth noting that it can cause some irritation for some people. It's also worth noting that different guarded blades have the same principle, but they have different guard shapes. So like the Kai ProTech MGs feel different on the skin and look a little bit different than this, but it's the exact same principle. Regular blade underneath, laminated with this comb guard. All right, in this setup, we have the Pro Super on the left and the Feather Professional on the right. Now, hopefully it shows on camera. It's pretty obvious in person, but setting this up in a way that shows a comparison is kind of challenging, but I think you should be able to see it here. And the difference is pretty simple and straightforward. The Feather Pro Super on the left just sticks out more than the Professional on the right. And what that does is also quite clear. It gives you more blade engagement, more efficiency, more blade feel, also a larger risk of nicks and cuts in comparison to the standard unguarded blade on the right. And the only difference is that this axis, whatever this direction is, some people call it X, depth or width is just more. This blade is actually physically a little bit bigger than this blade. Now, what we don't know, and Feather has not confirmed, is whether or not the cutting edge is the same on each blade. To my skin, the answer is probably, but as you've noticed, I'm not very good at telling you all the differences with my skin between blades. I tend to find them all shave pretty similarly. So the cutting edge aside, these shave extremely differently. The Pro Super is a way to really ramp up the efficiency of your blade. And this is where artist clubs offer something that DEs really, really don't. The difference from the Pro Super on the left to like the guarded Pro Guard that we showed is just night and day. It's hard to even say that they're the same blade. Nothing like that happens in the double edge world. The difference from Pro Super to Pro Guard is extreme. And the difference from Pro Super to Professional is substantial. I don't want to say extreme, but you'll notice. The efficiency is definitely bumped up a notch or two. The difference, again, very easy to understand, and hopefully shown here. You have more sticking out on the left and less on the right. If you can't already tell, I think the Artist Club style blade is probably the best blade platform in shaving. They're compact, they're versatile, they vary in performance greatly, they're high performing, they're wider than DE blades, they last longer, and I just think they are an incredible platform that people really need to consider, especially for their first razor. A lot of people get onto the double-edged train when maybe they should be looking at an Artist Club style blade. And the blades we talked about today, the feather blades, exemplify the style of shaving. Obviously, it's a Feather Artist Club style blade, but Feather isn't the only game in town. There's also Schick and Kai who make blades that are beloved by a lot of our customers. And so there's a lot of options out there. And that level of optionality just doesn't exist in double-edged blades. Sure, there are like hundreds of blades, but they are far more similar than they are different, where Artist Club blades vary a lot more. So that level of optionality just doesn't exist for DE razors. That's another reason why I love single edge blades. Now the question of which blade should you start with? I think most users are going to want to start with a standard unguarded blade like a Feather Professional or Schick Pro line. These blades will give you a great sense of whether or not you want to step up to something like the Feather Pro Super or whether you should step down to a guarded blade like the Kai Pro Touch NG or the Feather Pro Guard. And if you start at an unguarded blade, it really gives you the kind of standard experience. And then you can evaluate which direction you need to choose. If you start at the guarded side, I will recommend only doing so if you really love mild razors. Start there and then you can work your way up. But generally, start unguarded. Also, some people have a little bit of irritation with the guards, and so you won't know whether it is the blade platform itself or the guards that are giving you that irritation. That's another reason to start unguarded, standard, and then evaluate and proceed up or down the chain of efficiency as needed. And honestly, for most users, an unguarded blade is going to be their choice forever. You know, the Schick Pro line or the Feather Professional are probably like 80 or 90% of the blade that people use. Now, a lot of people love the ability to use guarded blades when they want or step up to like a Pro Super, but most people are going to be kind of in the middle, and that's where the unguarded standard blades go. So you might try the unguarded blade and just stay there forever. That's where a lot of people wind up. That's another reason to just start there, because it might just be the only blade you need. All right, well, I hope that helps you guys understand the options in Artist Club blades and my thoughts on them. And as always, leave your comments below, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.